Wow, that girl's hot.
That's a guy.
That other guy's handsome.
That's a girl.
That cat is cute.
That's a dog.
What is everything?
Hey, greetings and felicitations to everyone. It's just a beautiful day here in Texas. We didn't hardly even have a winter, and now spring is just around the corner. It's pretty nice, really. But today I'm going to explore the concept that woke is a religion, just as surely as any other. I mean, I hear it all the time that it's a religion, yet most people don't really sit around and think about it that much because they don't have the time or inclination to analyze how it is. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it down for you for your intellectual, political, and spiritual edification. So let's ask ourselves, what do all religions have in common? What is their purpose? And I think it's pretty obvious, don't you? I mean, it teaches you to deal with death. I mean, we're sentient beings. We have the concept of our own mortality, and, you know, it kind of scares folks. So that's what religions do. They kind of provide sort of an emotional cushion for facing death. All the major religions teach facing death by the promise of some life after it, or the acceptance of it by conquering the fear of it, by conquering the angst of it. Not avoiding, but conquering. And as a consequence, people face the world's unpleasantness by more or less embracing the struggle. Now, wokeism sort of does the same thing, but it does it differently. It teaches people to deal with the angst of death by avoiding the thought of it entirely, by following one's free will into pursuits that render one oblivious to the thought of it. It's a question of will. That guy up there, that son of a bitch in the picture, that's Aleister Crowley, and that was his big thing, the will. Reduce yourself to a state of free will and follow your will. Do as thou wilt will be the whole of the law was his little mantra. He was as black-hearted a villain that ever walked across the 20th century. You name it, anything bad and vile and despicable, he did it, and he reveled in it. But anyway, that's basically what wokeism does, and I'll show you how later. But let's start with listing and analyzing some of the commonalities wokeism has with other religions. And I'll start with how it has an actual doctrine and a priestly class as well, just like any other priest, preacher, what have you, monk. Of course, it's easy to see that its doctrine is science. They're always talking about following the science or trust the science, don't they? I mean, what else is it other than a doctrine to them? And naturally, by implication, they're atheistic or agnostic at the very least. And since they're atheistic or agnostic, they label all human concepts of morality and decency as mere social constructs, which can be discarded if one's will is to do so. And in this way, they can avoid the specter of death that looms on the horizon of all our lives. And of course, their priestly class are the experts in whatever, you know. I mean, seriously, what's always the first thing they do in any discussion? They pull out the experts. Oh, this guy in the science and blah, blah, blah. They've got the best experts and science money can buy. Wokeism also has dietary restrictions. I bet you never thought about that one, did you? You know, just as many religions impose dietary restrictions, so does woke. I mean, you've got I mean, the Jews can't eat pork and they can't eat shellfish, and then the Muslims, they don't eat pig or pork and this, that, or the other. And there are a lot of, Hindus, they have dietary restrictions. Just about all your religions have some kind of dietary restriction. And the wokies do too. It's called veganism. And it touts itself as being morally superior because it elevates the value of animal life. We're so much better because we value the lives of the little bunny rabbits and the little birds and flowers. But think about that. If you elevate the life of an animal, aren't you really degenerating the life of a man to the level of an animal? And of course, that's what they do, of course. And it plays into the concept of reality being a social construct with no set standards of morality. And, it also helps to alleviate the angst of mortality by promising to make you live longer, as if that's going to really change anything. Sooner or later, you're going to die anyway. But anyhow, so dietary restrictions, just the same as any other religion. Woke and other religions, they ingest sacramental substances. Jews, I think before a wedding or something, they eat bread, drink wine, and some oil. Christians have that little, or Catholics have that little communion wafer that they eat. Protestants do too. They just don't really. It's just symbolic to a Protestant. Hindus do. They eat certain foods before religious activity. They all do that, and the wokies do the same. And let's take a look here. Antidepressants, recreational drugs, alcohol, anything that helps you escape the reality of mortality. Wokeism, along with all the other religions, they tend to motivate themselves with some form of hatred using critical theory. And I'll read you about that. I'll just read what I wrote here. Immanuel Kant's critical theory motivates groups of people by teaching the hatred of some enemy oppressor. And, just as there's critical race theory, there's also critical class theory. That's what the communists did, blaming everything on the upper classes. There's critical ethnic theory. There's the Nazis. They blamed everything on the Jews. And you've got critical sex theory. It's feminism, blaming everything on men. Well, just as Muslims motivate themselves by hating the kafir, and Jews by hating the goyim, and Christians by hating the other two, wokies motivate themselves by hating any power that impedes them from expressing their will. Goes back to the will. In this case, white men, especially Christian white men, they're the ones that they blame for everything. They're the oppressor. It's called critical race theory, but it's also religious too, and sexist too. It's both critical sex, race theory amalgamated. And it's all done in the name of loving people. They love people, and they express their feelings with hatred, just like they have in that little cartoon. Oh, my goodness. And the real pity of it is they don't realize what they're doing. Any religion, they don't realize what they're doing. The other day I saw a guy, he was burning a police car and bashing some poor old lady upside the head. And he had a T-shirt on that said, "Love trumps hate," while he was bashing a lady's head in. Oh, my goodness. What a world. Just as all other religions, woke seeks to absorb the whole world through globalism. All the other religions of the world want to take over the world, and globalism is no different. They're the same. Globalism is an expression of wokeness, which seeks to set up a global socialist corporate government seeking to quell the angst of the populace with financial security, which in turn affords the populace the freedom of will to be whatever they want to avoid said angst. Have you ever noticed it's the corporations that are backing wokeness? It's always the corporations, the big corporations, BlackRock, DEI, and they're always after your kids. They've given up on you. They want your kids, is what they want. But anyway, there's an old movie called Network from 1976 that was, predictive programming, classic predictive programming, talking about what they intended to do with the world. And I'm going to show you a snippet from one of the most famous scenes of the movie and probably in all of cinematic history. So here goes with the first one.
You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rims, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today. That is the atomic and subatomic and galactic structure of things today. And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone. The world is a college of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business, Mr. Beale. It has been since man crawled out of the slime. And our children will live, Mr. Beale, to see that perfect world in which there's no war or famine, oppression or brutality. One vast and ecumenical holding company for whom all men will work to serve a common profit, in which all men will hold a share of stock, all necessities provided, all anxieties tranquilized, all boredom amused.
Now that sounds all well and good, it sounds all nice, love, peace, granola. But, when you start to think a little critically, though, you got to ask yourself, what are they going to do with all that power? And what are they going to do with all the people they don't like? If morality is just a construct, then genocide is too. Take a wild guess what they're going to do with the useless eaters. Now, if truth and reality are just constructs, then, the sky's the limit. I mean, if you want to be a woman and you're born a man, then you can just be a woman. Or vice versa. Yeah, there you got a transsexual right there. Or let's just say you wanted to be a dog. Oh, yeah, roof, roof, roof. I want to be a dog. Kitty, kitty, I want to be a dog. Or, what if I want to be a ringtail monkey pig? Well, I can do that too, because it's all just a construct. And reality and truth are relative. And I'll give you an example here of this video. This is absolutely one of the wildest I've seen. Let's watch this.
You identify as a bird?
I'm a member of the DID system, and I'm also a bearded vulture therian. I have two questions. One is for other Therians, specifically bird Therians, and the other question is for other systems who have Therian system members. So first question for other bird Therians, what are some things you do that help you feel more connected to your stereotype? Like, I know that for people whose stereotypes are four-legged, they can do quadrobics, and that helps them a lot.
What language is this?
But obviously that's not applicable to bird Therians. I also want to clarify for anyone who doesn't know, quadrobics does not automatically equal Therian. People can do quadrobics and not be a Therian. So that's my first question, how to feel more connected to bird stereotypes. And second question is for systems with Therian alters. Do these alters appear human in a world, or do they appear as their stereotype in a world? Or is it kind of a combo situation? Like, we have someone in our system who is both a guy and a vulture at the same time. We don't consider him a Therian because he doesn't consider himself a Therian. He just kind of exists as both of those things at once. Is that how Therian alters work in you guys' systems? Just very curious about how other people experience this kind of thing.
Join me on Discord to talk about it.
How I experience that kind of thing is thinking you're mentally ill. I mean, I saw one over, a few months back where she was saying she was a red-tailed hawk. So then she changed to a buzzard. So I guess these alters that they create aren't immutable. They change, you know. But anyway, like, you know, if reality is a construct, then the sky is the limit, or the bottom is the limit. There's no limit to the bottom. Well, like with any religion, not all wokies adhere to the tenets of wokeism absolutely. You know, for instance, not all wokies are vegans. However, I mean, if you ever start to query them on the topic, they'll say that they should be or that they want to be. You know, there are varying degrees of wokeism, just like any other religion. But anyway, ultimately, woke is a religion, the disciples of which seek the societal and financial support, which they call their rights, of their free will to do whatever they will to avoid angst, desperately desiring to be taken care of and told what to do so they can be whatever they want, ever descending into an empty black hole. They are an existential threat to everything that brings out the best in human beings. But then again, they would tell you that the very concept of best is a construct and doesn't really exist in the first place. You know, you're always hearing them talking about this person's truth, that person's truth, his truth, her truth. We all have our own truth. Now let me read you something that this guy James Carville said. First time I ever saw this old boy, I thought he looked like a child molester. That was about 35 years ago. And I'll look at him now and I say the same thing. But this is what he said. Truth is relative. Truth is what you can make the voter believe is the truth. If you're smart enough, truth is what you make the voter think it is. That's why I'm a Democrat. I can make the Democrat voters think whatever I want them to. You see, if there are no set standards of reality, you can be manipulated into doing literally anything. Anything at all. Woke is literally the worship of the self. The cult of me. Do as thou wilt will be the whole of the law, as Mr. Crowley said. And so anyway, you know, if you liked it, if you stayed to the end, give me a like and subscribe. I like to think that I have some points of view that are maybe a little fresh, a little different. So anyway, thank you very much. Bye-bye.